good morning, and Gong Si Fa Chai for those who are celebrating. For now, since today, February 17, is a holiday, so we will have a structured individual study. As we know, we may have too many holidays this semester, but I believe that we can arrange. Especially, I will create an tutorial in here how to create a 3D mesh, a cube that using Python that implements the use of computer graphics. Especially, we will try to use the OpenGL. But in this example, we will create two simple applications. The first one to create a sphere, not a sphere, a circle. Since we already create a grid in our last meeting, and for now, we will create a circle and also a 3D moving cube. As you already know, a cube contains some of the corners, or as we said, um, what is you could call that? Corners in mathematical terms, vertices. There are 8 vertices. So, for example, when we are trying to create, wait, I will create a new document here. Um, what you call that? The name will be the 17 Fab articum.python Python Python. It depends. Okay. So if you are still remember the path okay, a cube consists of 7 vertices. Okay, and every vertices have their own coordinates. For example, when we are having a cube, just do an imaginary cube. You are holding a dice in your hand. How many faces? If you are playing um, Monopoly, you maybe know how many faces that we have in a dice. There are 6 faces, 6 number over there. Okay, so every vertices will be connected by a line. So in this example, we also have to define a line between each vertices, because when we are only defining the coordinates, it will show only as a dot. But when we already define a line between each vertices, it will show as a cube. And for example, when you are holding a dice with a 6 dot facing your facing you, when you are rotating 2 times to the back, it will show the 1 dot face. Okay, when we are rotating something, there are changes in the ordinates of every vertices and also the lines. So in this example, we will only focus on the vertices itself. The lines will be um, fixed in accordance to every vertices, but the positions will be changed in accordance to the rotations that we will try to apply. The next one, a circle. What divides a circle? A circle is as simple as a continuous line that having an arc to create a circular lines. As simple as only a single lines. So how many ordinates? When you are trying to create, for example, you only have three coordinates, you only have three vertices when we are trying to draw a circle. It is called triangle because there are only three vertices. When you have 5, 6, 7, 8, it will not still define as a circle. It may be a polygon, but it is not a circle. It is accepted as a circle, but the coordinates were becoming so much that when we are see from the far, it will create an illusion as a circle. But there are a straight line. When we are implementing arc, we can create, for example, only four or the coordinates that we will draw a line between them that have a specific arc to create a circle. Okay, so in this example, we will try to create a simple applications. The two-dimension applications, we will define or we will draw a circle as a sample of 2D, and also a cube of 3D applications. And we will try to OpenGL, a simple one. It's not that advanced or difficult. We are not trying to create a game that will using Unity or other 3D applications, but only by defining the vertices, the coordinates of each vertices, we can create a 3D illusions, a rotating cube. Okay, and in this method there is a mathematical calculations, but since I don't have any whiteboard over here and it's difficult to draw everything. Yeah, when we are talking about the dice, yeah, I believe it is much more understandable when we are facing one each other in the class, and I will explain the logic behind that. But since we have holiday right now and it is still in the 5 morning, yeah, I'm still awake. I already wake up at 4, and to create this what you got tutorial, we will now move on to a simple applications there that will be containing two applications. The first one, drawing a circle. The second one will be a cube. Okay, shall we start? Okay, for example, when we are trying to start, we have to input. Okay, we have to uh, input some of attribute. The first one, yeah, we will import this. Okay, and also since we are using mathematical to create a calculations when we are trying to rotating the cube or drawing a circle from every coordinates, we also have to import math. The next one, and the most important one, since you are using Pygame later on, you have to import Pygame. Okay, and later on we will import some of the others what you call that dependencies when we are trying to create a 3D dimensions. For example, we are going to use OpenGL how to import the rotating form, translating, and also line width, etc. We'll later on using the OpenGL to enable that one. But I will just importing some of the functions in OpenGL 3D audience or what you call that, demo. Okay, in here I will import, okay, from OpenGL. So you have to install OpenGL later on, but it's okay. I will show the demonstration how to install OpenGL. I already installed in my virtual environment, so I don't have to reinstall again. But before that, you have to install the OpenGL. Okay, how to install? I will what you call it? I will try to show the code. I think in here. Okay, to install with what the OpenGL in your directory. This line. Okay, pip install pygame OpenGL. So pygame, you can just ignore that one, but if you haven't installed any pygame in the directories, because you have to remember that pygame installed in certain directories. So if you have a new folder that you still have to install again the pygame in that folder, and also to define to use the source of virtual environment each time you are creating a new directory. Pygame OpenGL. Okay, and then the other one will be OpenGL accelerate. Okay, you just run this one in your terminal. Okay, now we will continue to the usage of the OpenGL. I will show a demonstration later on, but since it is hard and maybe you will skip some of the part of the videos, I'm just put it over here, the command line, to help you. Okay, so what are we going to use? Since we are planning to rotate, we have certain some of the um, functions that we are going to use. Yeah, I will ask Google for it. Yeah, the first one will be GL begin, GL end, GL vertex 3 VFV, and then GL clear, GL clear color to make it transparent, but we will not implement any coloring later on. Yeah, but I will still import in case that we will try to implement the coloring. And the most important one, GL rotate functions. Okay, when we are rotating, we are translating a positions of each vertices. So GL translate functions, and also enable the GL enable, and then GL line width. Okay, and the next one, the buffer for when we are trying to using the color. Okay, and then the depth of each buffer, GL depth buffer bit. Okay, and also GL line loop, and the last one will be GL past. Okay, and the other one, the perspective of GLU. Okay, that are the functions that we will import from OpenGL to enable the rotations of each cube. Okay, so when in here we are trying to create the first one will be the what you call it, the circle. We are not using that one. We're still using the OpenGL later on when we are trying to create a cube. But before that, this is only the import part. The most important one is to define the main functions, which is how to implement that one. You still remember? Yeah, I believe you still remember. We will put main in the bottom part of this applications. Why we are putting over there? Yeah, because you have to define every functions, every procedure before the main functions, so it will work properly. Okay, I will use as the simple main functions that using some procedures later on to trigger a menu of these applications and also some of the functions. Okay, we will define the main, and then we will initiate the Pygame. Okay, and then we're using the menu loop functions, yeah, to create a menu interface, and it will show an error over here, a warning, because we haven't defined the menu loop, but it's okay. And also after we are initiating the Pygame, we have to quit the Pygame. Okay, and then okay, yeah, this is the last code only to implement to run the main applications. So this is our what you call that, you can click fix in here, and then we will try to create a new functions menu.loop later on the top of this one. Okay, this is our assignment for now. Now we have to create and define the menu loop. So how many options? Maybe some of you already finishing the algorithm pemrograman one when we are trying to create a multi applications, a 3-in-1 applications. We are using the menu in here. Okay, so the menu will define as simple as defining the menu loop options that will launch each functions based on the defined menu in here. Okay, just a simple menu. Okay, we will create the first one. When we are trying to use the Pygame, we have to define what is the screen size. Okay, so the first one will be def menu loop we'll define the menu loop in here. Okay, and now we'll define the screen size, the width, and then height. Sorry, typo. Okay, the width and the height will be 900 and then 700, like this. The screen will we will use the Pygame screen over here using that Pygame 2D mode. Implementing the width and also the height at the height. Okay, and then the title on top of that display over there. Okay, we send a circle and a cube demo. Okay, like this. Yeah, you can also change the font. If you want to use some font, you have to define, for example, font in here. I will use the font system font that may be available in both Mac OS and also in Windows. I believe consoles is available for both environment. So I will define as pygame.font. We are using system font that will be called consoles. The size will be, since 17 is my birthday, so I will use 17. It is depends on your preference. If you want to make it larger, you can write 20 or 24, etc. It is depends on your preference. And the next one, we have to use the clock. Yeah, to also set the timeout between each usage of applications. Pygame.time at clock in here. Okay, and also the color. When you are, if you want to use some of the colors, yeah, we have to define the colors, because the base, the default one, it is black, but we don't want a black screen, we want a colored screen. Okay, we will use only 3 colors in this menu. The first one will be white, okay, atau putih seperti itu. And then you already know the white, the RGB function, the RGB value will be 255 255 255. It is white over there. Green, you still remember RGB. So the green, the first part will be 0, the second part will be 255, and the last part will be 0. Yeah, you have to remember the RGB. Green, I hate this keyboard. Yeah, I'm not typing in the office, I'm typing using my old keyboard in my home. So it is kinda, it needs to be changes. Already sticky, etc. Yeah. Okay, RGB value. Yeah, you can create some spaces in here if you want to, but it is not necessary. Yeah, it is depends on your preference. And the last one will be gray. Gray defined as the half point between white and also black. So I will choose only 14 here, not not a true gray, but still considered as gray. 40 40 40. Okay, if you want to make it lighter, you can make it as 200 and also 200. If you want to make it darker, you can decrease the value over there. Okay, wow. Okay, maybe my friend here Marcelo will uh, have a difficulties in understanding the code. If you have questions later on, you can ask me in direct, or yeah, I am willing to explain it to you later about the programming. I know maybe you are taking this graphical computer class because previously they are using the Corel Draw applications to draw a line, but since Raymond already told me that it will be a mathematical perspective and also using the Python as a helper tools. Yeah, so in this semester I will try my best to use the mathematical perspective and also using the Python in here. So it's okay. And since this is my first time in teaching the computer graphics, if you have any difficulties, you can ask me. And no worries about the gradings. Yeah, I will give you a generous grades in here because this is the first time. Yeah, like when you are interested in a woman, you will give your best as a first impression attempt to get their hearts. So in this matter, I will try to do my best to help you to understand this application, and hopefully in the later semester, maybe if I'm still teaching graphical computer in the next semester, yeah, I will evaluate this semester and also create a better applications later on. Yeah, we'll see about that. Don't worry about the gradings. The most important one when you are attending every classes, it's not about the grades. It is about you, that you are understand everything that the teacher said. Okay, so we will divide a lines. Lines consists of some what you call that, uh, legend. Yeah, text in the applications that later on we will use as a helper when they are trying to choose an applications. Okay, the first one we will define as main menu, a circle. Please choose from the options below. Okay, the first one will be one. Okay, two dimensions. With this, creating a circle. Okay, from the book, we are using the Bransonham. I am opening the book in the left, but it is not implements the whole code, so I will still have to improvise in here. Bransonham circle Python. Yeah, they are example in that book. Okay, wait a minute, I forgot the colon. Okay, this okay. The next one will be 3D. Okay, R cube rotating one. Okay, that we will implement the OpenGL and also mesh 3D. Okay, that is the options. And also the last one, a helper. Okay, we'll create an empty string over here, and then press ESG to quit. So we will implement how to quit from application. You just press escape and it will what you call it? We will quit from the applications. Okay. So in this matter, yeah, later on we will define the keyboard pressed, keyboard one, two, and also escape. Yeah, we will define later when we are using the system keyboard applications. But now we will show the lines. It is only defining the lines, but we are not implementing the lines right now. So now we will um, creating the actual menu. Okay. For E, which is the text in every line, okay, we will define the color will be green, okay, if text starts with okay, and other than that, that will be white. It is not important, but to make it beautiful, okay, the surface will using the font, the text, and also it is true by default the color will be this one, okay. And now the most important one, to define the surface, okay, and define the starting positions, okay. So the first coordinate will be 4D and the y coordinates will be 4D, like that, okay. And also it will change by 28 every lines, plus 28. Yeah, you can ask for 25 lah. It depends on the size of the font. If you are using the font size, for example 24, you have to make a greater size, because the font size 24, when you are defining the next point will be 24, it will be overlapping, okay. So now we will display the Pygame, okay. And the main event for event in Pygame dot event dot get if event dot type as quit, return to end of that applications. But if it is not quit, they are using, for example, key down, escape, or key number one, okay, it will direct it to each functions, okay. If event type will be keystroke pressed, key down we are defined in here, but it's okay, it's still error, it's not a problem. We will create a definition later on top of these functions to help you. Run the demo. Wait a minute. If the event types on a key down, and then what type of keys? If event the type is k escape, it will return. Wait a minute, I'm still a mix between usage of Java and also the usage of Python, because yeah, that's why I didn't love Python, because mostly I'm using Java and also C Sharp when creating applications, and it has a different syntax. Yeah, I'm still used by that. If the event type will be k1, okay, it will be run a circle, Okay, the screen will be set by game. Oops, my bad. Two dimension mode. Okay, and we will implement the width and also the height. The text will be a circle demo. Okay. Yeah, why I didn't make it bigger? Yeah, the size of the screen. Okay. The next one, if even though type is k2, it is better. Wait, the k should be in uppercase. Run. OpenGL cube. Okay, the screen will be, yeah, the same with above lah. We just copy paste. Okay, it's okay. It's still to the two-dimensional mode because we are not using the actual 3D functions, but we are using an vertices coordinate, and we will try to rotate to make an illusions as a 3D modeling inside a 2D environment. Okay, a cube 3D demo over there. Okay, and the most important of all, yeah, we will set a timeout of each um, options in here. The clock will be ticking if it's exits the 60 seconds. Yeah, it will back to the main functions. Okay, I believe some of the people right now are loving the Python because of its simplicity, but since I have to adjust, yeah, it takes time for that. Okay, now we already defined, and there are some warning over here. We haven't defined the key down, k escape, k1, demo circle, OpenGL cube. It's okay. It's okay. So no need to worry. It's okay. Okay. The first one, when we are trying to create, yeah, we will talk. We will solve each of the code in here. The first one, to define the key over here. How to define that one? Yeah, we go to up to above the OpenGL import. Okay, and in here we are importing the quit, key down, mouse button, key 1, k2, k escape, and etc. from Pygame's local. From pygame.locals, we will import some of the functions, such as the first one will be quit, key down, yeah, maybe I will try to use mouse button, but it is not used, but we will just implement right now. It's better to import some of the functions that maybe as a user they are trying to click something when they are a cube over there. They will try, believe me, they will try. Okay, escape, k1, k2. Okay, and then double buff, and then OpenGL. Okay, we will use that one. What is the differentiation between OpenGL over here and OpenGL over there? Yeah, the differentiation, it will only show the Pygame. Yeah, we will use the OpenGL, but the actual functions of OpenGL is not in this library. It's not in the Pygame locals. Yeah, it is in OpenGL. And so you have to make sure that you are not importing from the wrong place. Okay, so the first one will be okay, it is done over here. We will creating a circle. Okay, when we are trying to creating a circle, what should we define? The coordinates of each dots, how many dots that we will have over there. Okay, so in this matter we will try to create an applications to run a circle, to create a circle over here. Okay, we will finish this line by create by defining the screen size and also the mode of the pygame that we will be used, the radius and etc. So I will make it fast since it's already 30 minutes, I believe. The recording, it takes so long, but it's okay, and hopefully it will be not error. If it's error, so you just enjoy this day. We will define the run demo circle in here. Okay, we'll set the width, the height, 500 by 500. Okay, and then we will yeah, I will just copy paste over here to make it quicker. Set the screen pygame to the dimension mode. Okay, a circle demo, yeah, to make it consistent. Okay, and also we will write the color. Okay, we will use white in here. Yeah, I know gray is not used yet in here, but it's okay. Yeah, yeah, I want to use the gray later on when we are trying to create an ordinance or what you call it, a grid behind as a background. But since we are not using that one, we'll just make it as a comment. Okay, the white will be pygame.color, and then the clock will be pygame dot time dot clock. Yeah, and then we will set and what you call it, that boolean, to make sure that it is not done yet. Okay, when it is done, it will exit from the menu. Okay, the one by default, the done will by default will be false. Okay, false, and the radius will be 10, I think, I believe. It depends on your preference. You want to make it 12, 14, 20, 100. You can change it later on. Okay, and then the growing, yeah, we'll make it true. Sorry, my bad. Growing, not growing. Okay, and while it is not done, okay, for the event in pygame, that event get, you can copy paste this one from the, what is the problem in here, expected indented block pylines. It's okay. Yeah, since I haven't closed this line over here, it will shown as error, but it's okay. Okay, well, not done for event pygame event get over here. If, okay, the event type is quit, it will be pygame dot quit. My bad. And also system exit 0. Okay, and also if event uh, the type will be key down, and also key press is key escape. Okay, done will be true, so it will done, it will exit from the loop. Okay, so and the loop will be done. Okay, now we will fill the screen with black as a background in here. Okay, and we will define the screen as the middle of the width and also the height, not the middle. For example, we define the screen size is 500 by 500, so the middle, the mid from the 500 will be what you call it, 250. Yeah, but you don't have to write 250, we just width divide by 2. For example, when you're trying to create a bigger screen size, 800, since you are using the actual in the middle, you divide as 250, you have to change the center point when you are using the actual number. So center will be width, wait a minute, my bad, width divide by 2. Okay, and also the height will be divided by 2, like this. Okay, and now we will using the Brazenham method. And later on you can read in the book, you already knew that I have many references in my teaching, so don't forget that you have to read that book. Okay, this is an error on my bad, I have to make it aligned with these functions, because it is not the part of the even pygame event that get, but it is still in the while scenario. Okay, plot circle brazen. I will make it the same with the book, the name, yeah, to make it easier to refer later on. Screen radius and also center and also the white. We will make it as a parameter later on that we will send to the functions. Okay, and we will finish this one later, and now we will creating an animation. If growing radius plus 1, if radius is more than 200, it will stop growing. Okay, else radius one. So the growing is like this one, you have a small spherical a small circle that will go to 200 the radius, and well it will be shrink again when you are hitting certain point, for example 10 in here, it will growing back, so it will shown as a growing circle. If radius is already below then growing will be true. Okay, Pygame flip, and then clock will be 30. Okay, now we cannot run this application yet because we haven't defined the plot circle brass and ham in here. There are also set pygame to demote. We haven't defined that one. Yeah, maybe we'll finish defining this one first before we are going to finish the plot circle brass and ham. Okay, so this is the functions that we define for ourselves. So it will set to the dimension mode, the width, the width of the screen, the height of the screen, and also the title. Okay, now we will create a functions called set pygame to dimension mode. Okay, where should we put it? Okay, on top of the functions, the menu loop in here. Okay, now we will defining the set by two dimension mode by only utilizing the parameters sent, the width, the height, and also the title or captions. It depends on your preference. You want to call it what? Yeah, I will call it as title in here. You can call it as captions. Okay, define to make it faster. Okay, sorry, the parameter width, height, and also title. Okay, screen is pygame dot display set mode utilizing the width and also the height. Okay, and now we display pygame dot display dot set caption title in here, and we'll return the screen. Okay, now there will be no warning in here. Yeah, there are still warning the OpenGL cube, but it's okay. Yeah, because we haven't implement anything in accordance to the OpenGL cube. Yeah, it will take time. Yeah, I know. I'm racing before the week of prayer, and hopefully I can finish before 7. Before 7. Yeah, it is, and hopefully it will not finish before 7. Yeah, please forgive me, Lord. Yeah, I know it's still holiday in here, but I have a duty to make sure that you are understand how the computer graphics works. And it is not an assignment, no. It is a tutorial, and that will help you. Okay, so for now we will finish to create a plot circle brass and ham that we haven't defined in our applications. And how do we that one? Okay, we will try to what you call that, defining and also using the mathematical what you call that, mathematical aspect of this lessons in defining the circle. So now we will define the plot circle Bressenham in here. Okay, I will just copy this one. Yeah, we will put on top of run demo circle. Because why we have to put it on top? Yeah, because we have to make sure that it is defined first before we are using um, the functions. Okay, I will put it over here. Okay, after the OpenGL import. Okay, yep, I will put over here. Okay, define plot circle Bressenham like this one. The screen radius, center, and also the color. Okay, x will be 0 by default. Okay, and then y will be the radius. Yeah, because it will be growing. Still remember that one? Okay, and now the mathematical aspect. Yeah, the actual Bressenham method when we are trying to create a circle is 5 divided by 4 and then minus the radius. Okay, so the actual points that will be used in here will use the same formula, which is 5 divided by 4 minus the radius. Okay, and now we are defining the circle points. Okay, using add coordinates to make it smoother. Okay, we'll use the screen and also x and so y and also center and also the color. Yeah, color like this. Okay, we will finish this one first, I think. Yeah, before we will continue. Okay, what is the contents of circle points 8-way? We will define some of the my bad. Okay, we will define some of the coordinates in here using the Bressenham circle method that you will open in the chapter 3 of our book, and there will be some of the numbers. To make it shorter, I will copy and paste from the book itself to make it shorter over here. You can open the book, our main book, in the chapter 3, the Bressenham circle. You just copy and paste this one. It will set the coordinates. Okay, the coordinates of x and y is the center, and then it will set as x the first original positions plus cx to and then the next coordinate will be y plus cy. When they are trying to growing, you still remember when it is growing in here, the radius will be increment by 1, and also the positions will be changed. The coordinates in here, wait a minute, will be changed later on. Okay, and it is only used as what you call it, as a reference point when we are trying to create a circle. This is not, it will not showing anything. It will only defining the positions of x and y in the beginning, but we still have to define in here the movement of each coordinate. While y is greater than x, and also if the my bad. Okay, now we will using is as our growing, what you call it, directions. Okay, so the directions will be plus 2, okay, and times x plus 3. Yeah, this is the formula that you can read later on using the Bresenham method in here. Okay, and the x will be grow by 1. Else, okay, d is d plus 2 times x minus y plus 5. So x will be increment by 1, y will be decrement decreasing by 1. Okay, and now using the circle 8 waypoints again. Like this. Okay, the circle is already finished, but the problem is we haven't run the cube. So if you want to try to run and hopefully it works, yeah, I have the terminal in here. Okay, it is already open in virtual environment. Yeah, at first remember you have to run the pip install pygame OpenGL accelerate later on when we are trying to continue. Okay, and then after that one is already installed on your directory, you can run this application. Python (17 Feb) important. OpenGL bin open document gini. Okay, OpenGL import is error. Okay, it's okay. Okay, there are some. What is the problem in here? OpenGL import, can import MGL begin from OpenGL. Okay, why I cannot import that one? Yeah, we are not using the OpenGL yet. Okay, I will just remove it. Yeah, it's okay. It's not a big problem in here. Okay, so in this instance, yeah, we'll just buy for sorry, I will just cut it. Okay, we'll try to run again. Okay, the Python blah blah blah. Let's call the main menu loop screen fill a resticle object. Yeah, I hate Python. Well, to screen fill 00. Outlines. Okay, menu dot loop. Okay, there's one glass call. This is the main error in here. It's not a problem in here. 169. There's no problem in here. Menu loop is also working. Oh, I believe I forgot to close something in here. Yeah, that's why I still have to using the curly brackets in here. Okay, menu loop and also inline 77. Screen field 000. Yeah, that's not a problem over here. It's only filling the screen, not a big problem. Invalid reticule object. Yeah, while true. Hmm. Wait a minute. Yeah. I'm not used to use the Python. Ta-da! I still remember. That's why I hate Python. Okay, we will create a circle. For example, number one. Hmm. The key down press is not working. Okay, I made something wrong in here. Okay, when we are trying it, it is running in here. I am running out of time. I will close this tutorial first. I will create the second part later on after the week of prayer, and hopefully we will continue the cube later on. But in here, yeah, you can try to create a circle. Yeah, but I will run the demo because I don't know what is my problem in here. I already defined the key number one. It already used in menu. When it is typed, the even press is key one. My bad. Na, 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 na. Yeah, that's why you have to have breakfast first before attempting anything. Ha! Okay. It not show anything because we haven't make it the other options in here in the menu options. Yeah, to make it stay intact until it is ending. Okay, so that is our first part of the tutorial. I will continue later on after the week of prayer program. I will continue tutorial at 8 a.m. after we have the praying sessions after week of prayer programs, and we will continue to the part 2, but I will upload the first part first to what you call that, to Moodle, and you can follow the first part, and later on you can follow the second part. Okay, that's it for the first part. It is running properly. Yeah, but I haven't make a system pause, which as we already called in the C, we know a system pause in here, so it not showing anything. Yeah, that is my problem. Yeah, I will fix later on at 8 a.m. Now I have to upload the applications. Okay, until the second part, guys.